This is quite a challenging question on sectors of a circle. We're given the radius of the sector. I'm just going to label that as R. And then we're given the area, but we're not given the angle. Now I'm going to call the angle theta. And I think the key thing, the first thing to worry about is finding that angle. So let's write down the area of the sector as a formula. It's going to be pi r squared is the area of the whole circle, but I don't have the whole circle. I've got a fraction of it, and the fraction I have is actually the angle divided by 360. That's the fraction of my circle. So that's a good starting point, because then I can write down it in terms of some numbers that I know. So I know the area is actually 6 pi, and that's equal to pi times 6 squared, which I'm going to write straight down as 36. Okay, I might shim a bit of working up here. R squared equals 36, and then I'm timesing by theta over 360. Now this is actually pretty good because the pi's are going to cancel. I think I should just do another line. I can write 6 equals, and then actually I can bring this up. I can write it as 36 theta over 360. And this is good because I can cancel this out partially. It's going to become 6 equals theta over 10. And so theta is going to equal 60 degrees. All right, brilliant. I can now replace this. I can write it as 60 degrees. All right, what next? We're being asked for AX, this length here. And I basically now have to forget this. I'm going to just cross it out. I'm not interested in that bit anymore. What I have is a triangle, and I've got an angle of 60 degrees, and I've got a hypotenuse. And I'm being asked essentially to find the opposites. So I've got the hypotenuse and the opposite. This has turned into a trig problem, but not just a trig problem, a non-calculator trig problem. So let's worry about writing it, writing the equation down for AX first of all. Actually, I think I have enough space just at the here. Okay, so I can write down, so I'm going to be using sine because it's SOHCAHTOA, so sine of 60 is going to equal opposite over hypotenuse. It's going to equal this AX divided by 6, and therefore AX is going to equal 6 sine 60. Key thing then is, what is sine 60? And actually it's root 3 over 2, so it becomes 6 times root 3 over 2, which simplify. I think I can just write it straight down there. Maybe I should show just an extra line of working actually. 6 root 3 over 2 equals 3 root 3, and I'm done. Now I suppose, if you've forgotten your values of sine, cos and tan for these angles, or you have no idea about them, then you can maybe even blag this question, because you know the final answer, and so you can realize that it has to be root 3 over 2 to get 3 root 3. Not ideal, because we're trying to solve a maths problem fully, but I'm just saying. How do we learn the values then? I don't think I'm going to derive them from scratch here. Like, that is something that is well worth learning to see where they've come from, because they're not just like randomly out of thin air. But I am going to give you the randomly out of thin air kind of way of remembering them. Just to finish, if you didn't know them. So we've got sine, cos and tan. You've got to write them down in this order, and then the special angles that you are expected to know are 0 degrees, 30 degrees, 45 degrees, 60 degrees, and 90 degrees. Just going to make this into a little table. Okay, and then there's a little nice algorithm that works. You can do 1, 2, 3, I've already messed it up. It's not 1, 2, 3. It's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. You square root that. Okay, this is just purely a memory technique at this point. And then you divide it by 2. So we get 0, we get half, we actually get 1 over root 2, and here we go. Here's the one we then used. We get root 3 over 2. So you could stop here, but I'm just going to go through the rest of them. You also get 1 for here. For cos, it's actually the opposite. You do 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. You square root them, and you get the same values but in reverse. And then tan, you do 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, square root it, and then you divide by the opposite, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, square rooted. Now I would, if this helps, like I would say, try and just learn the values if you can. It takes a bit of time. I'm not going to go into any more detail on it. Try and learn how to derive them, but at the end of the day, you need to know these for this sort of question.